The main focus of this presentation is going to be to help you understand what Viva Learning is, what it is not, and also understand where it fits into your organizational learning strategy. And of course, also answer all the top questions that I usually get about Viva Learning. The official title of this presentation, Create a Single Destination for Your Learners' Needs with Viva Learning. There are lots of notes below the slides, so be sure to download the PowerPoint presentation. I present sessions on many other topics, which are all included in that download location, as you can see right here. Topics on organizational change management, ways to increase user adoption in any web application, learning in the flow of work, making the best use out of Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and other applications, and many other Microsoft Viva applications. My name is Asif Rahmani. I'm the founder and CEO of VisualSP. It's a digital coach or contextual microlearning and micro support system. Our focus is to help organizations around the world increase usage and adoption of their enterprise web applications like Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and other corporate web applications, while at the same time decreasing support costs for those applications. I've been a Microsoft MVP for 16 years now, so since 2007. I speak at conferences around the world on topics of end user training, user adoption, performance support. So conferences related to learning, conferences related to Microsoft Office 365, Dynamics 365, and more. Over the years, I've had opportunities to author multiple books, mainly on Microsoft technologies. Would love to speak with you, so reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn or feel free to send questions directly as well. The usual topics that I talk about and consult on is learning strategies for your organization. And be sure to check out visualsp.com to understand exactly how contextual microlearning and micro support works. I've done lots of presentations on Viva Learning, and these are some of the top questions that I usually hear. What exactly is Viva Learning? Where does Viva Learning fit into our organizational learning strategy? Is Viva Learning the same as learning pathways from Microsoft? Do I need a learning management system if I get Viva Learning? Is Viva Learning free? And if not, how much does it cost? What are the differences between Viva Learning, free, and premium? Can I try the premium version of Viva Learning? What learning can I expose through Viva Learning? Can I assign people courses and check their progress through Viva Learning? Is Viva Learning the right solution for my organization? The big question of them all. I have a blog on our VisualSP site, which actually talks about all of these questions and much, much more. So please be sure to check that out. And I'll be answering many of these questions in this presentation as well. So here's the exact agenda. We'll talk about Viva Learning, exactly what it is, then understanding the learning methodologies that work. So broadly, what kind of learning methodologies should we be using for our learners? Where Viva Learning fits into the blended learning model? Differences between the free and premium version of Viva Learning? Answers to most frequently asked questions. And as I mentioned, you can get a complete exhaustive list of Q&A from the blog I mentioned earlier. So the first question, what is Viva Learning? Well, it's an organizational learning portal to provide access to all learning assets from within Microsoft Teams. So Viva Learning serves as the gateway to provide access to all sorts of learning to knowledge workers within your organization. Now, Viva Learning is one of the several Viva branded products that Microsoft has rolled out over the years. You have Engage, Amplify, Insights, Pulse, Viva Goals, Viva Topics, and then here's Viva Learning. And then there's also a role-based experience, Viva Sales as well. Now, we're only going to be covering Viva Learning in this presentation. Here's a quick snapshot of what Viva Learning looks like within Microsoft Teams. You can look for it in the Teams App Store and download it today if you wish to try it out. Let me show you a very quick demo of Viva Learning This is going to be a quick one, and then I'll come back to it later as well. Here's a very quick look at Viva Learning from a learner's perspective. So I come over here to Viva Learning in the left rail of Microsoft Teams. I see that it's welcoming me. It's giving me some spotlighted information that I should be looking at. It knows about my interests of business strategy, communications, productivity, teaching, things like that. So it's recommending courses. I can see courses coming from my own environment, from my own company, which I'll talk about later as well. Then it has some additional courses from LinkedIn Learning, Microsoft 365 Training, and Microsoft Learn. Then it has some additional curated things in My Learning and more. So I'll come back and talk about all these things and a lot more later. Before jumping deep into Viva Learning interfaces, the following slides will show some of the learning methodologies that I've been working on and presenting at learning conferences. However, these are just some basic fundamentals of learning specific methodologies. To get access to the slide decks with more in-depth information, follow this link and you'll get access to the complete slide deck and a whole lot more. There are three main learning delivery mechanisms. Let me go through each one and talk briefly about them. A lot more deep explanation of each one is in the notes section of this slide. So first is learning in a deep dive fashion, also referred to as macro learning. Now, when an employee needs to learn something new, deep learning is the best option. You got deep learning is accomplished through a macro learning event, let's say employee goes to a destination, physical or virtual, to get fully trained in a subject area, classroom training, physical or virtual, self-guided courses through learning management system, learning experience system, learning content management system, and so forth. Microlearning is traditional microlearning. So for example, going to a specific destination to learn something. You are going to YouTube, you're going to a search engine to search for something and you get your answer, but you still have to go to a destination to get your answer. The last one, and definitely the most important, is contextual microlearning. That focuses on the last mile of content delivery, to deliver the content and information to users wherever they are at their moment of need, in the flow of their work and in the context of their environment. Basically, the learning comes to the learner instead of the learner going to the learning. A context-sensitive system like Viva Learning or also like VisualSP. Everything that's happening in the flow of work, learning in the flow of work, support in the flow of work, and information in general in the flow of work is being delivered. Let me talk through an employee learning journey. Now, this is a graph showing a typical employee learning journey. An employee begins the journey with lots of different macro learning, physical or virtual, something to boost the information that she needs to begin learning about a job or position. After that is contextual microlearning. Now, this is happening at the water cooler. It's happening by asking people, learning on the job, and so forth. Continuing to learn in the flow of work, boosting her knowledge in the area. Then as the employee becomes an experienced employee, the motions of the job becomes repetitive, and the pace of learning slows down, and that's represented right here with a downward curve. Usually at this time, the company decides to provide another boost of macro learning to enhance the employee's knowledge, like this. Now this works marginally well, and the employee's learning increases a bit due to this boost of knowledge, but not that much. In an ideal situation, what you really want to do instead is to provide continual contextual microlearning. That's what this upward arrow represents. The contextual microlearning at this point would continue to enhance her knowledge at her moment of need and in the flow of her work. And that's what the employee learning journey would look like if it was an ideal situation. You continue to provide continuous support and continuous training to make sure the knowledge worker is always supported. Viva Learning is part of the learning delivery story. You still need other components to complete your learning delivery system within the organization. The components that you need for a blended learning solution for your organization would be a learning system So that could be a learning management system, learning content management system, learning experience system, experience platform, or so forth. Then, of course, you need the knowledge hub, and that could definitely be done through Viva Learning, where it pulls everything together in one place. The third thing, definitely don't forget about that, is a digital coach. Now, that's sometimes referred to also as a digital adoption platform or DAP. A digital adoption platform or a digital coach brings the information as close as possible to the end learner. Either of these components can be used by themselves, of course, but it's best to combine two or more to create a complete blended learning solution for your organization. I'm going to show you a quick demo over here to show each of these three components that I just talked about. Let's walk through the three pillars of the blended learning solution. So first here, I have a typical regular learning management system. As a learner, it shows me all these different courses, harassment prevention, communication etiquette, and so forth. Now I can go into one of them. It would show me all the information that I need about that particular topic. It would also have embedded videos and so forth that I can watch, also different quizzes, and a complete table of contents that I could use to do some deep learning and get understanding of a topic area in a deep fashion. The reporting of all this is surfaced directly through the LMS, or it could be surfaced through Viva Learning. The second pillar of a blended learning solution model is Viva Learning, where everything comes together in one place, directly within Teams. So I get to see all the spotlighted, highlighted courses that have been pushed to me as a learner. I see the interest that I have and additional courses in here that pertain to my interest. I see exactly what my company wants me to learn. For example, here we go, the workplace harassment training, of benefits of contextual microlearning, recommendations of how to name files, and so forth. I also have other courses that my company wants me to have access to. In this case, for example, Teamwork Foundations, TechSense, and so forth. And then information about Microsoft 365 and also information coming from Microsoft Learn. Now, all these things are coming from various sources and it's all gathered in one place. So I can manage all the content here. I can even go into my learning and then see all the bookmark courses, things that have been recommended to me, and more. And that serves as a complete knowledge hub of whatever my company has deemed that I, in my role, need for my learning. The third pillar of the blended learning solution is a digital coach, or also referred to as a digital adoption platform. So here's a scenario. I, as a user, come to a page. This is SharePoint, but doesn't have to be SharePoint, could be any page. In this case, because it's my intranet, it's saying, welcome to your intranet, and letting me know exactly what I need to understand to begin with, giving me a walkthrough. So if I click on next here, now it's pointing to the word SharePoint and saying that this is your intranet home. I click on next, and now it's got a boarded line over here saying that this is how you can find anything on your intranet. So it's giving me an interactive walkthrough step by step. Now I click on next here, and automatically it has clicked on the waffle, the Office 365 Start button over here, and it's showing me that these apps over here are the ones that I would go to get more information, to get deeper into Microsoft 365. Click on next. And now it's got the left bar over here highlighted and telling me this is the app bar. And then it ends to let me know that I can contact the support team if I have more information and keep in touch. So then I'm done with this interactive walkthrough, and that's a digital coach. In addition, if I have some on-demand questions as a user, I click on my company logo, which appears on the top right, and then I ask that question. For example, how do I add a page to my site? So here we go, add a page to your site. Then I click on this answer, and it gives me the information of what I would do. Click on new, click on page, and so forth. So that's a example of a digital coach which is always available to guide me at my moment of need within my own environment, such as SharePoint, Dynamics, any other web applications, just there, ever present. And these are the three pillars that make up a blended learning solution: a digital coach, digital adoption platform, Viva Learning as a knowledge hub, and also a learning management system for a lot more deeper macro learning. One of the main questions I get is, how much does Viva Learning cost? Well, there's two versions of Viva Learning. There's a free version. You just need Teams to access it. There's a paid version, also called the premium version, which is $4 per user per month. There's also a bundle that you can buy for the whole Viva suite that's currently at $9 per user per month, while the retail value for that bundle is $12 per user per month. You can find out a lot more information about this on Microsoft Viva Learning site. Can you get a trial of Viva Learning Premium? Absolutely. In fact, I would recommend it. That's the best way to compare the free and premium versions. When you download the slide deck, you'll find a direct link to the trial in the notes area of this slide. The big question, how is Viva Learning Free different than Viva Learning Premium? This table shows the differences between Viva Learning Free versus Premium. So you have the top things right here, which are all available in Viva Learning Free as well as Premium. Both of them let you show your Viva Learning content in Teams within the left rail or within channels. You can access lots of free courses, Microsoft 365 training, Microsoft Learn, and 125 LinkedIn courses, both in free as well as premium as a user. You can search courses, bookmark courses, share your specific courses with other colleagues by just sending them a shared link. All that stuff you can do in both. You have the learning tabs you can create, so you can go into a channel as even a user and make a tab which shows all the Viva Learning content within that channel. You can do that in both of them. Now, this one, very important, the fifth point here, showing your organizational content. As an admin, you can show as much as 5,000 pieces of items, so PDFs, PowerPoints, MP4 files, MP3, whatever you want, directly within Viva Learning Free or Premium. It appears as a row, and that content can be exposed and consumed by any learner using Viva Learning Free here. You can highlight content, feature content, and you can also, as a learner, create a collection for yourself. So a collection would be something like, think of a YouTube playlist that you're making for yourself, saying, okay, here are the different things. That would be a collection of the things that I like. Okay, so you can make as many collections as you want in Viva Learning Free as well as Viva Learning Premium. For Viva Learning Premium, you have this additional functionality for these bottom four things, which is integration with learning management system to be able to assign courses, see the analytics and so forth, integration with third-party content providers like Coursera, Pluralsight, edX, and more to be able to see content from those places. Keep in mind that for this to work, or for that matter, for the LMS to work, you would need the LMS, you would need the licensing from the content providers. So that's a separate cost that you have. And then you have Viva Learning Premium to be able to integrate that information directly in Viva Learning. Content recommendations can only be done through Viva Learning Premium, cannot do that in Viva Learning Free. The capability of making learning paths, which is taking content from a variety of different content sources you have, putting it all together, making it into a learning path that you could share with employees, other employees. That can only be done through Viva Learning Premium. So these are the differences between Viva Learning Free versus Viva Learning Premium. One of the biggest questions I get, can I assign courses through Viva Learning? The answer is you can, but to be able to assign a course, you need an LMS integration to be able to do that through Viva Learning. Aside from that, there's a way to recommend courses, but that's not the same as assigning, because when you're recommending it, you can see exactly if a person has started a course or not, but it's very rudimentary functionality. It's not at all in depth as assigning, tracking, nudging, and all these other things that you can do with an LMS integration. Does Viva Learning show user analytics? The answer for that is no. Analytics are handled completely from your learning systems. Let me show you a side-by-side view of Viva Learning Free versus Viva Learning Premium. Here's a side-by-side comparison of Viva Learning Free on the left and Viva Learning Premium on the right. Now, first of all, look at the Manage link over here. If you are an admin, you see the Manage link, then for sure you have Viva Learning Premium. If you don't see it, that means you have Viva Learning Free. So don't just look at the admin. This you'll have either way, doesn't matter if you have free or premium, but Manage is what you want to be looking for. Having said that, now let's go deep into it. Viva Learning Free on the left starts out welcoming me, giving me stuff that I should know about right up top, giving me some featured, spotlighted courses and so forth. Then I have my saved interests, which is business strategy, communication, other things that I have saved as a learner myself in this case, and is recommending some courses to me. Now, doesn't mean they're free courses, as it says I need a subscription to be able to get to those courses, but the recommendation here from Viva Learning to me about my interests is all available right there, here and in this row right here. See, so it's showing business strategy, communication, productivity, teaching, and so forth. Okay. Now, if I go into the providers tab here, any of the providers that are set up, including my own company information, all that information is going to be shown in each row. So here it is. All the different content is available here in Viva Learning, free. Viva Learning Premium on the right is actually exactly the same for all these things that I just described. So welcoming me, showing me featured content, spotlighted content, tell me that here's information you need for your saved interests, for business strategy, communication, so forth. Once again, I would have to have a subscription for LinkedIn Learning in this case to be able to get to that recommended saved interest. So just because I have Viva Learning Premium does not mean that I have access to all the content. Okay, that content my company also needs to have license to separately. And here, same thing, business strategy, communication, and so forth is showing me all the different things that I need to, to get to. But once again, I need to have access to it from my company. So the interface on this homepage over here, exactly the same for Viva Learning Premium and free. Now let's go into My Learning. When I go into My Learning here, which is premium as opposed to My Learning and free, here are the differences. Both of them show my bookmarked courses. If I have a collection created, it will show my collection. I do have a collection created here. If I want to create a collection here, I can do this as a learner. That does not cost anything. Now this one recommended to you, even though the link is available here, the recommendation engine would not work unless I have Viva Learning Premium. So in this case, once again, if there was something that recommended to me, it would appear here, but I would need Viva Learning Premium for that. Recently viewed, simple enough. All the courses that I've recently viewed appears in both. The completed would only show me courses that I have been assigned using an integration of LMS. So even though the link is there for completed on the left here for free, it would not show me anything here unless I have the Viva Learning Premium. Now I don't have an integration here with an LMS, otherwise it would show me the courses that I've completed. Let's go to the admin. Admin in both over here definitely looks different because it has a lot fewer choices in free. In premium, it has a lot more choices here. Let me go through them one by one. In Viva Learning Free, it shows me the managed providers that I can configure. Here is an admin. I have SharePoint, which is for my own company content, Microsoft Learn, Microsoft 365 Training, and LinkedIn Learning. And that's it. Well, on the Viva Learning Premium, as long as I have access through my company to all these different things like Pluralsight, InfoSec, Josh, Burson Academy, Coursera, I would have access, or I could give access in this case, to my users by configuring all these different repositories. Once again, you need at the organization level to have access to the content, and then you can go to Microsoft 365 Admin Center and configure these providers with the login credentials, and then your users would have access to all the content. This interface right here shows how it looks. So if I have at least exposed to all the different repositories, Coursera, edX, this is what it would look like. Okay, I've been given access at least to browse these courses. Now, once again, if it shows this key that's locked, then it tells me that I don't really have access to the actual course, but at least I have exposure to all these available courses. And that's what it looks like. Moving onwards, the second thing here in the admin screen is managing permissions. Now you don't have the managing permissions on the left in Viva Learning Free. So as it says here, I can create and manage permissions on any learning content. Okay, that I can only do adding permissions here in Viva Learning Premium, cannot do it in Viva Learning Free. The third one here is a feature set, and same thing as the second one on the left here. I can make a feature set that's spotlighted content basically that highlights itself automatically on the home page. So I'll actually go over here to home and show you. This is the featured highlighted content. That's the same thing as this active featured set. I can make featured sets no problem in Viva Learning Free as well as Premium. So I can go here and you can make a new feature set. That's just by defining a featured set name and then going ahead and picking specific courses that you want to feature for your company. So let's say you're deploying something new in your company, let's say on Dynamics, or you're rolling out some other system or some other methodology. You can go ahead and make a feature set and publish or highlight those specific courses to people. The fourth thing here in Viva Learning Premium, which is not available in Viva Learning Free, you have the capability of creating learning paths. Learning paths can be created by taking courses from all different repositories that you have access to and defining it into a learning path, sharing it with people in your company. Let me maximize this. So if I go and edit this learning path here, it shows me that the learning path is labeled self-improvement, and then it has these courses. Okay, if I go edit, I can add more courses here. And this is where I'm defining a path of learning for a specific topic area, a subject area that I want to share with my learners. So that learning path capability is only available when you have Viva Learning Premium. It is not available when you have Viva Learning Free. These are the main differences between Viva Learning Free as opposed to Viva Learning Premium. The content that you show in Viva Learning, where does it all come from? Well, you have any of the approved learning management systems that can integrate through Viva Learning. Any content in there you can expose through Viva Learning, and also any content providers that are approved as well. You can go ahead and take their content and show it through Viva Learning as well to your users. In addition, you can also show your own organizational content. So anything that you have internally, you can put it in SharePoint and then show that as a row of content within Viva Learning. Here is a list of some of the LMS and content partners for Viva Learning. Now this list keeps on changing, so you can go to the Viva Learning blog to see the most current list. Very important, and something that I get asked a lot as to how exactly do you show or surface content from within your organization through Viva Learning. So in this case, it's configured right here. Here's an actual location for a site which has the pointers within SharePoint to all the different content repositories that I want to show. So it's showing visualsp.sharepoint.com/Viva Learning. You create a pointer from a site to other repositories within your organization where the actual content is located. And Viva Learning then goes ahead and picks it up from those locations and shows the content to your learners directly in Viva Learning. Let me show you a demo showing exactly how you can take the content from your organization, store it in SharePoint, and show it within Viva Learning. Here's a Viva Learning free environment, so not premium, just free, that I've configured to show our company content to our users. When they go down to the providers, they'll see a row which has our company name. In this case, it's just a demo for the company name VisualSP Dev, and it shows any of the content that I've made available to our users. In this case, there's a VisualSP Premium video content. Then you have file naming recommendations, that's PDF. You got a PowerPoint for workplace harassment, and there's also another PowerPoint for benefits of contextual microlearning. Okay, shows the user who created the content, type of content, the title of the content, and there's even more here too. There's another video here about dynamics, another PDF about best practices for assigning metadata. And I'm going to show you how all this stuff is configured in a minute. But before I do that, let me go into the experience. If when I click on it as a user, I can see if there's a thumbnail provided that would see that too. In this case, if I click on it, it shows the content comes up directly within Teams. I can go ahead and play it. Okay. Let me close it here. Rate it if I want to. All right. Now I'll go back here, go into a different piece of content. For example, workplace harassment training presentation. It's a PowerPoint. Once again, if I click on this as a user, it brings a PowerPoint directly within Teams. I can go through it here. Okay. So how do you set it all up? Now you have to be an admin to be able to set it up. If I am an admin, a tenant admin, I go into admin here. You want to go into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center and set things up there. Once it is set up, it's going to show SharePoint with a sync status of success. So let's dive into it. I'm going to go into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. It says, do you want to open this Mac portal? Sure, confirm. It brings up configuration of Viva Learning in the org settings of Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Here, if I go into the SharePoint area, this was not checked by default. I check it, and then I put a link to an existing site. So preferably an existing SharePoint communication site. In this case, it says visualspdev.sharepoint.com/site/learning site, right? So I create the site, then I put this link here. Let me actually go to the site. So this site was created first. Doesn't matter if there's nothing on the site, that's okay. It's going to be used as a pointer to point to content for Viva Learning. You create the site, you go back here, you put the link to that site here, just a root link. Now in this site, if I go to site contents, there's a learning app content repository list that was created automatically. I didn't create it, it was created automatically by Viva Learning. When you go into that list, in the beginning there's nothing there. You go ahead and add items to it. So if you go click on new, you give it a title, whichever, that's just an arbitrary title. For example, I can say HR content or IT content or sales specific sales enablement content, whatever you want. And then you give it a location of where does that content exist. Now that location has to be a folder within a SharePoint document library. Okay, I'm going to show you an existing one, but just wanted to demonstrate how you can do it from scratch. You can make as many items as you want here, by the way. So any different repositories to different document libraries, different folders, no problem. I'm going to go into this location here. So this I have called VisualSP Learning Assets. So basically this is all the different learning assets within for our company located in one area. If I go to navigate to this particular folder, it shows me here are the exact things that you saw when I was showing how Viva Learning was consumed, showing the content, right? You got the workplace harassment PowerPoint presentation, the VisualSP Premium video, file naming recommendations PDF, and more. So automatically it's taking all of this content and surfacing it in Viva Learning. You can have as many locations like this you want, making sure that all of your users have access to it. Then I define that folder location within the Learning App Content Repository for a site which was linked to from here, which automatically created the Learning App Content Repository. And in turn, within Microsoft Teams, if I go now to Home as a user, within Providers, it shows me that content right there. Okay, so that's how simple it is to show your organizational content for your users within Viva Learning for Viva Learning Free or Viva Learning Premium. Let's go through some additional frequently asked questions. So are Viva Learning and Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways the same? Well, Viva Learning is a container for your learning content, while Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways is an entire set of Microsoft maintained content around all of the Microsoft 365 apps. And it's also a SharePoint communications site that shows the Learning Pathways content. So that's the two components of Learning Pathways, and it's not the same as Viva Learning. Now, please keep note, Viva Learning currently does provide some of the content that's coming from Learning Pathways, but does not provide all of it. Microsoft team is working on integrating all of the content, so all of it in the future will be shown through Viva Learning. Let me show you a quick demo of Viva Learning and also Learning Pathways side by side so you can get a visual of it. Here's Viva Learning, and within Viva Learning, if I go to Providers, there's a row for Microsoft 365 training, and it has a bunch of content. For example, let me go into Outlook Calendar here. Let me click on play here. Now this shows me a specific video as well as some content about calendar. Now at the bottom, it also has additional links to additional content. For example, schedule an online meeting. So if I go there, it has a video for that. This content is actually coming from Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways. If I go back, let me go back one more time here. And if I go down to Providers, Microsoft 365 Training, see all, this is a lot of the content coming from Learning Pathways around forms, databases, planner, and so forth. Once again, it's not all of the content, but a lot of the content from Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways is coming here. Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways by itself is a SharePoint communication site that you can deploy when you deploy Learning Pathways. And this is the main interface that it shows up by default. Of course, you can customize all this stuff here. But if I don't, and if I as a user go into Microsoft 365 Training, it shows me content for all the different Microsoft 365 apps, such as PowerPoint, Excel, Yammer, Outlook, and so forth. So let's go into Outlook here once again. And here's the different content that's coming from Learning Pathways. So for example, if I go to Outlook Calendar, same content here. Welcome to your calendar. The same pieces of information here that shows me that it showed me in Viva Learning. I can go ahead and play that here. So bottom line, a lot of the content that you'll see in Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways already exists in Viva Learning, but not all of it, and eventually it will. A very important question that all of us have to ask for ourselves is Viva Learning right for my organization? Well, unfortunately, the answer that I have to give is it depends. Now, it's going to depend on many factors to understand if Viva Learning is the right solution for your particular organization. I'm not going to just leave you hanging. I'll give you a specific set of questions to ask yourself to see if it's correct or not for your organization. So does your organization want to prioritize learning for your users? Do you have multiple disparate learning systems and content that you would like to consolidate? Do you have lots of content already built out within your organization that you would like to surface within Teams? If the answers to the above questions is yes, then definitely you should look into Viva Learning free specifically, and then also get a premium trial to see if it's the right solution for your organization. Remember to deploy the complete blended learning model to effectively train and continuously support your users. And that includes the learning system and the knowledge hub and also the digital coach or a digital adoption platform like VisualSP. So you want to combine all these different things to make a complete blended learning solution for your users. As next steps, feel free to reach out to me, Asif Rahmani. You can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free also to email me at asif@visualsp.com if you would like to talk about Viva Learning as well as blended learning solutions. Also check out my detailed blog on Viva Learning at the VisualSP blog of all the different questions that I've covered in this presentation and a whole lot more. Thank you for watching.